Now that we've got the initial configuration of our WDS infrastructure in place, let's take a look at the couple of images that we've now imported here into this infrastructure. The first of which is this boot image down here. This boot image corresponds with the boot.wim file that we imported directly off the Windows DVD media. There's nothing that we've done other than just simply copy it here into our location. This boot image, as you can see, it corresponds with the x64 architecture, and if I view the properties, there's just not much we can do here. I can reset the priority here if I want to have multiple different boot images and prioritize one over the other, and I can view some version information here as well. But really, there's not much I can do here in the properties of this boot image. What I can do, however, with the boot images is in certain circumstances, I may have a situation where I may have some clients that because of network conditions, can communicate over the usual Windows protocols like your / server name /share. But your network team has locked down the protocols such that they are unable to communicate over PXE. This can happen in certain situations where you've got a high security environment. It can happen when your network team doesn't like that traffic passing over the network. When that's the case, you can actually burn a copy of this boot image to a DVD or burn it to a USB stick by creating what is called a discover image. This discover image, the whole job of this is just simply to get that bootstrapping information, that WinPE content, onto that machine so that it can boot up and then use your usual Windows protocols to communicate back to our WDS server and download the install image to be deployed. In other circumstances, you may not necessarily be interested in the actual install image right off the Windows DVD. You may want to configure a custom image that includes applications, that includes different configurations that are specific to the needs of that user or group. Well, in that case, you can actually go about creating that machine as a golden image or a reference image, and then capture the contents of that image through what is called a capture image, right here. This capture image provides a way for you to take that machine that you've already gone through all the configurations, capture it into its own isolated WIM file, and then make it available as a different install image to be found up here in the list of install images. Now, everything I'm going to show you here has to do with just deploying Windows right out of the box with no further customization. But if you have the need to include applications and other configurations on the image itself, it is the use of this capture image that allows you to do so. Now over here in the install images, again, this is the right out of the box Windows 8.1 Enterprise image you can see here. And if I take a look at the properties here, we have the same kinds of properties that we saw before with the boot image. But what we also get here are a couple of additional functionalities, not the least of which is the abilities to add in an unattended.xml file that we can use for further customization of this deployment at the moment it's deployed. I already showed you just a second ago how you can use WSIM to create these XML files for the boot process. It's here where you can use WSIM again for the install process by configuring here that you want to install in unattended mode and then to select an XML file that may be located on disk. Again, this is kind of an advanced topic here for what we're trying to do, but again, it's that WSIM tool that facilitates you configuring in that XML file all those different configurations that you want to enable at the moment that OS gets deployed. There may also be some situations over here where you may want a specific image to only be deployed when the client meets some characteristic. You don't find too many situations where WDS is configured with these filters, but they are available for you to define out, for example, a manufacturer or a model or a BIOS vendor or a BIOS version. Just these different kind of filter types to ensure that an image does not get deployed to the wrong piece of hardware. Now, figuring out exactly what all these are is kind of a complex task as well, but at least be aware that these filters exist so that you can protect yourself against deploying an image into the wrong location. All of these, as you can see, have to do with the hardware, and so they correspond quite a bit with the drivers we'll talk about here in just a second. I can also configure some user permissions over here for which users should be able to manipulate or adjust or otherwise see this image. This can also protect you from users being able to see an image that you don't want to deploy to a specific user or group.